Okay, so you've brought us a whole stack of articles about the future of tech in business,
Yeah.
specifically focusing on trends that Gartner, this leading research firm, is predicting are going to be huge in 2025.
Right.
And a lot of it, honestly, it sounds pretty futuristic.
It does. It really does. What's so interesting is they're predicting some trends that really sound like they're right out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, we're talking AI that acts like your employee robots that can practically do anything, the metaverse, even tech, that can read your mind.
Exactly. And the big question for everyone listening is,
Yeah,
what does this mean for you?
right.
How is this going to change your business, your work, even your life in just a few years? That's
Right.
what we're going to try to unpack in this deep dive.
All right, so first up, AI. It's already everywhere, but it sounds like it's about to get even more powerful.
Yeah, Gartner's calling this next level agentic AI. Instead of just following instructions, imagine AI that actually makes decisions and takes action all on its own.
So like a virtual assistant who's also like a super smart strategist.
Sweet.
I get used to that,
Yeah,
but doesn't that make you a little nervous?
it does a little bit.
What's to stop them from, making the wrong call?
That's where AI governance platforms come in.
Oh, okay.
Think of it like a set of rules and ethics for your AI, making sure it's not, going rogue.
So you're basically training your AI to be a responsible employee.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not just about giving AI power, it's about making sure it's used in the right way.
Right. Well, let's say you're using AI for hiring.
Okay.
An AI governance platform could make sure it's not biased against certain candidates and make sure your company is building a diverse and fair team.
That's a really good example. But with all of this AI-generated content out there, what about this whole fake news problem? How do we even know what's real anymore?
It's a huge concern, and Gartner calls this out as disinformation security. You need to be able to spot deep fakes, fake news, protect your brand, make sure you're not being tricked by online scams.
So like having a security system for your company's reputation in the digital world.
Precisely.
Interesting.
It's about having the tools to identify and flag suspicious content, verify sources, and protect your data. It's going to be a constant battle, but we can't afford to be naive about it.
All right, so that's AI.
Yeah,
Mind-blowing stuff.
it is.
But what about the actual computers themselves? Can they even keep up with all of this advanced tech?
That's a good question, and it sounds like our current computers might struggle,
Okay.
which is why Gartner is highlighting something called hybrid computing as a major trend.
What exactly does that mean?
Think of it like combining different types of computing power,
Okay.
almost like bringing together the best athletes for a team sport.
Okay.
Each player has a strength, and together they can achieve more than anyone could alone.
So it's not just about like one supercomputer, it's about having the right tools for the right job.
Exactly. We might use traditional computers for everyday tasks, but then turn to quantum computers for really complex problems like developing new medicines or modeling climate change.
Interesting. But I remember reading something about quantum computers being a threat to security. Is that right?
You're thinking of post-quantum cryptography,
Okay.
another trend on Gartner's list. As quantum computers become more powerful, they could potentially crack the codes that protect our data today.
Oh, wow.
Which means we need to develop new, stronger encryption methods that can withstand these attacks.
Well, like changing the locks on your doors before the thieves figure out how to pick them.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we prepare for that?
Yeah.
Sounds really complicated.
It is, and it's a challenge that businesses need to start thinking about now.
Oh,
It
yeah.
involves auditing your current security systems, evaluating new encryption methods, and working with experts to make sure your data stays safe and secure in the quantum era.
Okay.
But there's one more thing about all this powerful computing that we can't ignore:
Yeah.
the impact on the planet.
Right. All these supercomputers and data centers must use a ton of energy.
They do.
So what's being done about that?
That's where energy-efficient computing comes in. Okay.
Gartner is predicting a huge push towards sustainability, and not just in terms of using less energy.
So what else are we talking about here?
It's about designing more efficient hardware and software, writing smarter code, and even powering data centers with renewable energy sources.
Okay.
We need to make technology more sustainable if we want it to have a positive future.
It sounds like there's a lot to consider as we move into this new era of computing.
There is.
But before we get too overwhelmed, let's move on to a topic I'm personally excited about,
Okay.
where the digital and the physical worlds collide.
I think you're talking about what Gartner calls human-machine synergy.
Yeah.
It's a trend that's blurring the lines between the real and the virtual in some really interesting ways.
And I think this is where things start to get really futuristic.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. Before we go there, though, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
What stood out to you so far? What feels the most impactful?
Honestly, the whole idea of agentic AI, I find it exciting and also kind of unsettling.
Yeah. Like, on one hand, I'd love to have AI handling all the tedious tasks in my business.
Uh-huh.
But on the other hand, it is kind of intimidating to think about machines making decisions that could have, real consequences.
Right. I can definitely see why you'd feel that way.
Yeah.
It is a big shift in how we think about technology.
Yeah.
But, we're not talking about just giving AI free rein to do whatever it wants.
Right.
That's why AI governance is so crucial. It's about setting those clear boundaries and ethical guidelines so we can use the power of AI without sacrificing control or responsibility.
That makes me feel a little bit better. So it's not about replacing human intelligence, but about using AI to kind of augment our capabilities.
Exactly. Think about it this way. You wouldn't let a new employee start making major decisions on their first day.
Right.
You'd provide training guidance oversight.
Yeah.
Same principle applies to AI. We need to teach it how to make responsible choices that align with our values.
Okay. That analogy makes a lot of sense. Can we go back to the disinformation security trend for a second? It seems like we're already drowning in fake news and online scams.
Yeah.
How can we possibly stay ahead of that as AI gets even more sophisticated?
It's a constant arms race, for sure. But remember those tools that we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
They're getting smarter all the time.
Uh-huh.
Imagine software that can analyze an image or a video and tell you instantly if it's been manipulated, or an algorithm that can track the spread of misinformation and identify the source.
Okay.
That's the kind of technology that we're going to need to fight back against this flood of disinformation.
That sounds promising, but technology alone can't solve this problem, right?
No.
We also need to become more discerning consumers of information, more critical thinkers.
Absolutely. We need to develop a healthy skepticism toward anything that we see online. Question the source, look for evidence, be wary of sensationalized headlines or emotionally charged content.
Right.
It's about taking responsibility for our own media literacy.
Okay, point taken. Now I'm ready to dive into human-machine synergy.
Okay.
Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with spatial computing. Think of it as a way to blend the digital and physical worlds.
Yeah.
Create these immersive experiences that feel almost magical.
So like stepping into a video game. Is that what the metaverse is all about?
The metaverse is certainly part of it, but spatial computing is much broader than that.
Okay.
Imagine attending a virtual conference, but you can interact with other attendees as if you were all in the same room. Or exploring a museum exhibit where ancient artifacts come to life through augmented reality.
Wow.
The possibilities are endless.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
But isn't this technology still kind of clunky and expensive?
Yeah.
Those VR headsets look really uncomfortable.
The technology is definitely evolving rapidly. Yeah. Headsets are getting lighter, more comfortable. The software is becoming more intuitive, more user-friendly. But spatial computing isn't just about VR.
Right.
Imagine just walking down the street and having information about nearby stores and restaurants pop up on your phone's screen as if they were overlaid on the real world. That's augmented reality in action.
Yeah, I've seen that with some shopping apps where you can visualize like furniture in your living room before you buy it.
Exactly.
Pretty cool.
Spatial computing is about creating a world where information and experiences are seamlessly integrated into our physical surroundings.
Wow.
It's going to change the way we work, play, and interact with the world around us.
Okay, what about robots?
Okay.
I have to admit, I'm fascinated and also a little freaked out by the idea of them becoming more prevalent in our lives.
I understand those mixed feelings, but remember those polyfunctional robots that we talked about?
Yeah.
They're not here to take over the world. They're here to help us. Imagine a robot that can assist with manufacturing tasks in the morning, then switch to inventory management in the afternoon, and then help with cleaning and maintenance in the evening.
So like having a super efficient employee who never gets tired?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Polyfunctional robots are going to revolutionize industries by making work more efficient, more productive, and even safer for human workers.
That makes me feel a little bit better. But I am still curious about those humanoid robots that we see in movies.
Okay.
Are those still just science fiction, or is that something that we need to actually be prepared for?
Humanoid robots are definitely on the horizon,
Okay.
but they're still in those early stages of development. Right now, the focus is on developing robots that can perform specific tasks reliably and safely.
Makes sense. So we're probably a ways off from having robots walking among us completely indistinguishable from humans.
Probably. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't start thinking about the ethical and societal implications of that kind of future.
Right.
What happens when robots become so advanced that they can, perform most jobs better than humans? How do we ensure that AI and robotics are used to benefit society as a whole and not just a select few?
Those are big questions. And speaking of big questions, I think it's time to address the most mind-blowing, ethically challenging trend on our list.
Oh, okay.
Neurological enhancement. I'm still struggling to wrap my head around this one.
Yeah, it definitely is a topic that pushes the boundaries of what we thought was possible. We're talking about technologies that can read and decode brain activity,
Wow.
enhance our cognitive abilities, and even potentially create interfaces between our brains and machines.
It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie. But is this really something that's on the horizon, or is it still just a far-off fantasy?
The research in this area is advancing so rapidly, and some of the early applications are already starting to emerge.
Like what?
For example, there are devices that can help people with paralysis control prosthetic limbs with their thoughts.
I've seen videos of that.
It's amazing.
That is incredible.
And researchers are exploring ways to use brain stimulation to improve memory and focus.
Wow, that's incredible. It also sounds a little bit scary.
Yeah.
What are the ethical implications of this technology?
Uh-huh.
Could it be used to manipulate people or invade their privacy?
Those are valid concerns, and they're exactly the kinds of questions that we need to be asking as this technology develops. How do we ensure that neurological enhancements are used responsibly and ethically? How do we prevent them from being used to create a divide between those who have access to these technologies and those who don't?
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
It feels like we're on the verge of a whole new era,
Yeah.
not just in terms of technology, but in terms of what it means to be human.
You hit the nail on the head. These trends are forcing us to re-examine our relationship with technology and grapple with these profound questions about the future of work, identity, even consciousness.
This has been an incredibly thought-provoking conversation.
Good.
I feel like I need to go process all of this information and maybe watch a few sci-fi movies for inspiration.
I think that's a great idea. Sometimes fiction can help us envision the future and prepare for the possibilities, both the exciting ones and the ones that give us pause.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's recap the key takeaway.
Absolutely. The future is not predetermined. It's shaped by the choices we make today. By understanding these emerging trends and engaging with them thoughtfully, we can navigate the challenges and harness the opportunities to create a future that benefits all of humanity.
So we talked about AI that acts like a superpowered employee, and computers that can crack almost any code and technology that blends the real world with the virtual.
Right.
But neurological enhancement is on a whole other level.
It is.
It feels like we're stepping into the realm of science fiction.
It does, doesn't it? But the reality is that science is catching up to fiction at an astonishing pace.
Yeah.
We're already seeing early applications of this technology, like brain-computer interfaces that allow people with disabilities to control prosthetic limbs with their thoughts.
Yeah, I've seen videos of that. It's mind-blowing. But what about the idea of actually enhancing our cognitive abilities? Is that something that's even possible?
Researchers are exploring a variety of techniques, from non-invasive methods like transcranial magnetic stimulation to more invasive approaches like brain implants. The goal is to improve memory focus learning speed and even potentially unlock new cognitive abilities that we haven't even imagined yet.
Okay, now I'm really starting to feel like we're in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But let's step back for a moment and talk about the ethical implications.
Right.
If we can enhance our brains with technology, what does that mean for the future of human potential? Will it create a divide between those who have access to these enhancements and those who don't?
Those are exactly the questions that we need to be asking as this technology advances.
Yeah.
We need to have a societal conversation about what it means to be human in an age of neurological enhancement.
Yeah.
What are the potential benefits and risks? How do we ensure that these technologies are used ethically and equitably?
It's a lot to grapple with, but it's also incredibly exciting to think about the possibilities.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where learning is effortless, where we can access information instantly,
Right.
where our brains are connected to this vast network of knowledge and experiences.
It's a future that holds both promise and peril. It's up to us to navigate these uncharted waters with wisdom and foresight.
Well, this deep dive has certainly given me a lot to think about. I feel like I need to go for a long walk and process all this information.
I think that's a great idea.
But before we wrap up, is there any key takeaway you want to leave our listeners with?
The future is not something that simply happens to us.
Right.
It's something that we create through the choices that we make today. By understanding these emerging trends and engaging in thoughtful conversations about their implications, We can shape a future that is both innovative and humane.
That's a powerful message. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
Before we wrap up, if you're looking to take your business to the next level with AI, check out Aurora AI. We offer AI-powered calling agents that can qualify leads, book appointments, follow up with clients, and even handle customer support 24/7 without missing a beat. Imagine having an AI that works tirelessly to grow your business. Want to see it in action? Visit the website and let AI handle the calls while you close the deals.